Welcome back to another episode of Christian Natural Health. Today, I'm very pleased to have Dr. Beth Livengood with us. Dr. Beth, please tell us a little bit, first of all, just kind of about who you are.
Well, I'm an Arizona native and did move away for a few years, but love to call it home here. So I've got all my kids and grandkids here. So
Yeah.
it's definitely home and um, just grew up here, did all my schooling here, including medical school.
Uh-huh. Yep. Awesome. And so now Dr. Beth, for anybody who isn't already familiar, is with us at Nature Cure Family Health in Tucson. Tell us a little bit about why you chose naturopathic medicine. What was it that drew you to it?
Yeah, I think it chose me because I wanted to be a doctor since sixth grade. My sixth grade science
Oh.
teacher introduced me to like the magic of the human body and how divinely perfect it works. And,
Yeah.
as things turned out, I raised my family first. And then by the time I was able to go back to medical school, I had discovered natural medicine first as a mom, just trying to do things healthy for my kiddos and myself. But the medical school right down the street from me was literally up and running, and I got into that medical school. So it worked out perfectly for me. It was a good fit.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. So what was it as you said that when you were raising your kids and your family that you were drawn to natural medicine? Why? What was it about it?
There, I think because of that original understanding of the body is so well made. It is so well orchestrated
Mhm.
that it has built-in healing properties. I guess that
Yeah.
was it, the built-in healing properties of it knows what to do. We just need
Yeah.
to help it do it.
Right.
And then I've that holistic view came from, again, just my upbringing of a good spiritual practice and take care of your body and take care of your mind. And
Yeah,
it brought a holistic approach to how I tried to live and raise my kids.
sure. And so how do you integrate body, mind, spirit into the way that you practice?
Well, this is what makes the appointments a little longer, right? Because we don't always know which of those aspects are going to come up as a predominant player.
Right.
Sometimes, yes, there's physical symptoms and we need to fix the symptoms and find the root cause, and it's
Yeah.
very physical oriented. But a
Mhm.
lot of times there's an emotional component that comes up,
Right.
or it's kind of patient led, to be honest. So if a patient is open to talking about something, or that is a higher priority, then of course it's going to come up in practice. So the more tuned in a patient is to their own mental, emotional, physical, spiritual life, the more that
Mhm.
that can be incorporated into a holistic treatment plan.
Got it. Okay. So, and what would you say are some of the areas that you particularly like to treat, areas of expertise?
Well, from a holistic standpoint, that plays really nicely into things like mental health, anxiety, depression, even insomnia, some of those nervous system
Mhm.
disruptions.
Yeah.
But as my practice has evolved, some things have come to me, which is autoimmunity
Yeah.
and hormones of all types, thyroid, reproductive hormones. So those
Right.
are mostly my areas of expertise.
Okay. And so what are the patient populations that you're most comfortable with or that you tend to see the most? What kind of boundaries would you put on that? Mhm.
Well, if you include what, those conditions, I guess you'll call it, those situations that come to me, those
Yeah.
typically happen to people who are, um, say 40 and up, 35 and
Mhm.
up.
Yeah.
So middle agers. And it's just that cycle of life.
Mhm.
And it also helps to be able to relate. So unfortunately or fortunately, some of these things I get really good at because I've also had personal experience.
Sure. Yeah, it's funny how that works. Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 So, is there anything that you would say really surprises you about the way that about the practice of medicine that you didn't necessarily see when you first got into it?
Yeah, definitely from a practitioner standpoint, I don't think I was prepared for the trendiness of healthcare or
Oh,
medicine.
yeah, I can hear that for
Yeah, but
sure.
but if you look at it like from a consumer, it's oh, of course, we're pulled along by trends because there's like the low fat craze of the 80s or 90s, and
Mhm.
you can see the trends, but as a practitioner, you try to not just nosedive into all the trends. So I do
Right.
try to really research everything, which I'm a big fan of that. In my areas of expertise, I'll go deep,
Hmm.
but not necessarily follow all those trends. And at the same time, you kind of have to be aware of them because, especially now in our information age, patients come to us with
Right.
the information, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm literally not on TikTok, but
Yeah.
I know what's on TikTok because my patients
Right.
talk
It keeps
about it.
coming up.
So, yeah,
Sure.
so it's that's been kind of surprising, something you kind of have to navigate along with. Yes, but here's the body of knowledge that I come with.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and I know that you are a contributor to some of the low-dose naltrexone books, and that's a big area for you. Can you talk a little bit about, what got you into that? For anybody that isn't familiar, can you tell us what low-dose naltrexone is?
Yes, this
Yeah,
is like a really big passion of mine. It's
yeah,
short for low dose naltrexone, as you said, so LDN.
yeah.
I'm a medical advisor for the LDN Research Trust, which is the largest compendium of research on this topic.
Mhm.
I got into it during my residency. So 11, 12 years ago,
Mhm.
the first LDN book had come out, and it was part of our required reading in our
Yeah.
residency.
Mhm.
And again, with nosediving into research that pertains to my practice, I just went all in and I watched how it was used for multiple
Mhm.
sclerosis and things that can be really difficult to treat, and it can have a huge impact. So I have contributed not only as a medical advisor, but wrote a chapter in book 3 on
Mhm.
chronic depression and how LDN can help with that depression, pain, autoimmune cycle.
Mhm.
And I now, just this year, had the privilege of being able to record one of our LDN books into audio.
Mhm.
And that's been a fun experience.
Yeah.
Be the voice of the book,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
and then just being a frequent presenter. So I usually every year will submit a topic for our conferences for other physicians.
Fantastic. Tell us a couple of your favorite success stories that have used low-dose naltrexone in particular.
Wow. One of the really most profound ones was since COVID. I had a long COVID patient who was very much debilitated, could not hold down a job, could not really get through a conversation, much less a whole presentation that he had to do at work.
Yeah.
And had steadily declined since his COVID exposure
Yeah.
until when he saw me. I think he'd been dealing with this for maybe a year of long COVID and probably 3 to 6 months of symptoms prior to that. So
Mhm.
LDN was a cornerstone of his treatment program, but within 3 months of addressing diet, lifestyle, I think LDN was his only prescription I had him on, and then supplements. He was able to get through a conversation, get
Mhm.
through a job interview. I
Mhm.
think at the 4 or 5 month mark, he got a job
Yeah.
and he's like fully functioning again. It's like
Yeah.
talking to a whole new person.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. So, and I also recently saw that you are going to be a presenter at the AZNMA this year, and your topic is on dementia, like updated treatments for dementia. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So, the Arizona Naturopathic Medical Association is our state association, and I've been on the board for them in the past and contributed in the past. But this year, I get to talk about dementia and brain function. Again, LDN is part of that,
Mhm.
but this is a really close to heart topic for me because my grandmother had 2 forms of dementia,
Yeah.
and I've helped family members caregive for her. So there's all kind of things that go into that big, huge bucket.
Right.
So that is an area again that I'm taking a deep dive in and really privileged to get to share some updated treatments and even diagnostic tools for
Yeah.
dementia.
Yeah, so this might be a big ask considering it's a huge topic, but in addition to LDN, what are some of the other highlights, either things to test for, to recognize potential root causes to go after,
Mm.
or maybe some favorite treatments that are somewhat new to the space for that?
Yeah, the hour-long wet topic in a nutshell, right?
Yeah, yeah, right, please.
Okay. Okay, no, it's not a problem. All right. So one of the most exciting things is for Alzheimer's, for example,
Yeah,
when we were in medical school, the only true way to diagnose that was post-mortem, not
right,
helpful.
Mm,
right? So
exactly.
then we got, okay, now we have brain scans, so we can do PET scans and different things like that, a spinal tap. Now, and this just came out within the last year, there's a blood test for the p-tau 17 proteins that accumulate in the brain.
Yeah.
Not only can we test it, it's been verified that it is equivalent to the brain scan. It's
Oh,
just as
wow.
accurate, just as sensitive. Um,
That's incredible.
it's huge.
Yeah.
So that's great on the Alzheimer's front.
Right.
With vascular, it's kind of interesting to differentiate. And I think that's where we as primary care providers really need to get a good grip on this and understand the basics that you don't need to wait until someone has full-blown Alzheimer's to
Right.
address cognitive impairment. The
Mm-hmm.
place where we have the most impact is in mild cognitive impairment, but only
Sure.
8% of those cases are actually diagnosed.
Yeah,
They
that's
usually progress and then it's much more difficult to treat. So
sure.
we have a lot of tools in our toolbox for this, and
Yeah.
especially when it's caught early. So the first thing is intervention, like just being able to recognize it and diagnose it, and
Yeah.
then figure out what kind it is. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go over long COVID, which I just gave the example
Yeah,
of
right.
that guy. Alzheimer's, since that's what hits close to home for me, and
Sure.
then vascular dementia, which we have so much control over. It's our cardiovascular system.
Sure. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
all of those usual interventions for heart health,
Uh-huh.
cardiovascular health, immune system health, those play into these kind of treatments.
Yeah, awesome. So for anybody listening who is wondering if they are a good fit for you, can you kind of describe a little bit of like what's your ideal patient?
Well, I do love when a patient can come with a good history. They're tuned in, they're ready to talk about it.
Mhm.
Um, the more information they want to give, the more I have to work with. So I really love it when patients are willing to open up and
Mhm.
can talk about all those aspects of holistic health.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's good to build a rapport with your doctor. There's
Sure.
lots of doctors out there and there's lots of patients out there. So I really believe there's a good fit for everybody because that trusting relationship is super important. Um, that's where we can get into the meat of things. So that's important to me too, is building a good relationship. So um, ask questions. I'll do a free consultation and let's
Mhm.
find out if we're on the same page in
Yeah.
terms of how we talk, how we treat, how we investigate things.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's typically middle-aged middle-aged people and up. I probably see more men than
Mhm.
the average doctor. Do you know men are like 30% of most primary care
Right.
practices, and I'm
Yeah.
typically 40%. So it's a
Interesting.
pretty good mix.
Yeah, yeah. Why do you think that is? I'm just curious.
That is a great question. I'm not I don't know why that is.
Just works
I
out
don't
that
know.
way.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
And it's usually because the significant other is the one saying, "Hey, you need to go see the
totally.
doctor."
Yeah, that's usually the case for the guys that come see me as well.
Right.
It's always the wife that I see first, so their significant other,
Yes,
for
that's
sure.
right.
So, what have I not asked you that you want to make sure you leave with our audience? Anything important?
Um, I guess I'll just throw in there that our extracurriculars in our life are just important, as important to our health. So,
Mhm.
for me, it's things like um, prioritizing a well-balanced life, family, and my faith walk, and my leisure activities, and sleep. Oh my gosh, I talk a lot about sleep with
Right.
my patients because that's when we heal.
Mhm.
And I struggled a lot with insomnia. Thank you, medical school.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
finally got that dialed in, and
Yeah.
anyway, so just having that well-rounded
Mhm.
practice as well as hopefully life, and it's an ongoing process, isn't it? So
Absolutely. So, and you alluded to the free phone consults. So at Nature Care Family Health, we do that. But if listeners are interested in learning more about you, we'll send them to your bio on our website. We'll have this video there as well. And then anybody that is an Arizona resident is able to make an appointment with you. You're licensed in Arizona only right at the moment, right?
correct.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much, Dr. Beth. It's been
Thank you,
great.
Dr. Lauren.
Yeah, for sure.